be making their way into this magnificent stadium. And normally, the gentlemen competing in the Campdraft, the World Championship Campdraft, have the great honour of doing that. Well, tonight is something special for you. You'll notice we have a wonderful man down there riding this super name of Megcat, the stallion. He's 4 years of age, and his dogs are Zach, Boo, and Hunter. Now, they're going to just look after the cattle for you and just show you how it's done. They're going to bring those cattle across with his dogs, and all those dogs are listening to his commands. And they're going to bring those cattle across, those magnificent Hereford cattle that we have here. Thank you to the Packer family for their great support. And they're going to come across and be put in the yard over here for the commencement of our magnificent Campdraft this afternoon. Jimmy Cullen is down there too, and James. It's a very good afternoon to you, and Jim will introduce you to everything that's happening here in Campdraft. But Jim's a stock and station agent, and Jim, it's just wonderful to see Murray Wilkinson and his magnificent dogs and riding this magnificent stallion, Megcat, bring these cattle into the arena. So I'll cross down to you, and you might like to explain to the girls and boys, mums and dads, that this is really how it happens out in the bush, isn't it, James?
Yeah, well, good afternoon, Angus, and to you too, Deb Day. But yeah, this is exactly how it happens at home and out in the on the stations, Angus, with the magnificent working dogs. And the cattle they just get so used to the dogs and the horses, and everything's done at a nice steady pace, and the cattle become very quiet, and they understand they like to be with the dogs and the horses. But yeah, the wonderful handling and the stockmen that do a great job. And that's why we've seen Champagne Camp Drafting at the Royal Easter Show 2016. The cattle are handled by stockmen and with their dogs, and just everything's taken at as one steer might just want to break away, well, the dogs certainly just go to work and put him straight back in the mob. But it's the handling that goes right down to the wonderful temperament and the handling of the cattle.
And Jim, yeah, it's a great experience for all the young people here from Sydney, particularly, to be able to experience something like that, and also the other country areas of Australia, and also the other cities of Australia too. But it's amazing, and you know what, ladies and gentlemen, probably the saddest part of all is the fact that these magnificent men and women that produce all the food for our nation now make up less than 3% of Australia's population. But they're so passionate about what they do. The next generations come through all the time, and they really do us proud. And we always say that when you go shopping too, look for those Australian products, and always remember, if you're from the city, that every family, and I mean this, and I say it again to you, every family needs a farmer, and every farmer needs a family to buy that produce. Jim, just to give everyone an idea about these magnificent Hereford cattle, you're a stock and station agent. What age would they be? And in regards to the, I imagine, tall cattle, before they went into a feedlot or went out to the age to be fattened for winter for the domestic market. So I'd imagine these would probably finish up in the domestic market. Would that be right?
Yes, you're exactly right, Angus. They go into a feedlot, background, or go straight into the grain. Yes, so these steers here, they're a wonderful line of pole Hereford steers, and that's what the buyers look for, a wonderful line of, whether they are Herefords or Angus or the Angus cross or Charolais Angus cross, but they look for a wonderful line, and they look for cattle that perform in the feedlot, Angus, because every beast that goes into a feedlot these days are inducted individually, and they can go back and then look at their paperwork, and when the cattle go out at the other end, they know whether your cattle perform better than mine or whatever, and then if they get your cattle are performing very, very well, I might get $3.15 for mine, but they might say, well, we'll give Angus Lane $3.25 because they perform so well in the feedlot.
And Jim, we have some very special guests, and we have very special guests as far as donors of the cattle here tonight too, don't we?
We certainly do, Angus, and been great supporters of the World Championship Camp Drafting at the Royal Easter Show for many, many years. And it's many things to Ellison Pastoral Company, to the Packer family, to Mrs. Packer, to Rob Teague, the General Manager, Scott Mitchell and the team up there. And it's just so good to have those wonderful people on side with the RAS to make this such a wonderful an event.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Come on, Sydney, Australia. Put your hands together for Murray Wilkinson and Megcat, the magnificent stallion, and the dogs, Zach, Boo. They did a super job tonight, so isn't that great to see? And Hunter. not forgetting Hunter. So Murray, we salute you. So congratulations. Well done. And all those people around the arena, come on, folks, give him a big, big round of applause. You won't affect the horse, the dogs. Go, come on. Yes, you're terrific. Thank you for that. That's something very special to see. So, as Jim said, thanks to the Packer family, thanks to Allison Pastoral Company for donating the cattle for the World Championship Campdraft, and also they donate the cattle for the Man from Snowy River production as well. And don't forget to stay here and enjoy the presentation of the Man from Snowy River tonight. It's one not to miss, isn't it, Jim? It's fantastic.
That's right, Angus. Don't miss the production from the Man from Snowy River. And right at the moment, one of our Campdraft judges, Mr. Stephen Wells, is here for the judging of the World Championship Campdraft. And Stephen Wells, you've had a very busy Sydney Royal Easter Show 2016.
Yeah, they're keeping me moving, mate.
Angus, I'm just here with Stephen now, our Campdraft judge, but he's not only our Campdraft judge, he's here as a green coat steward for many, many years with the RAS. He's also one of the stockmen in the Man from Snowy River productions. So they're certainly keeping you busy, Stephen, and you've seen some great camp drafting here for the World Championship Camp Draft.
Yeah, mate, a great lot of horses and great cattle presented from Elliston.
And that's a great thing, isn't it? When you see the best of the horses, the best of the competitors, and a wonderful line of cattle, and that's why we've seen Champagne camp drafting.
That's exactly right, mate.
You've been a competitor, a judge and so forth, but it's always great to come to the Royal Easter Show and be asked to be a judge.
Yeah, great feeling, great honour, mate, to be in front of a big crowd.
Okay, and we wish you all the very best because you've got other things to do through the next week at the Royal Easter Show.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Stephen. There's one of our camp draft judges, Mr. Stephen Wells, and our other camp draft judge, Mr. Nigel Rippon from Casino in New South Wales. So we're just about to go into action for the final round of the World Championship Camp Draft.
Well, thanks very much. Thanks, Jim Cullinan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our first competitor in the World Championship Camp Draft final tonight is Glenn Peterson. He's a livestock buyer. He's going to be riding Kalina Cheetah, affectionately known, stable name as Cheetah, signed by Vet School Cody out of the dam Kalina Sharalee. A lovely brown mare, foaled in 2001, and it's one that he's had a lot of success with. So, Jim Cullinan, it's down to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Angus Lane. Well, we are about to get underway. The judges are just about to give him the nod. We're just waiting for just to get one beast back here in the backyard with the stewards. And so it will be action-packed, final round of the World Championship Camp Draft. And Angus, haven't we seen some magnificent camp drafting runs here in the Spotless Stadium?
We certainly have, Jim. And Jim, there's just an apology too from Gretel Packer. Unfortunately can't be here tonight with her son Ben, I think, but she sends everyone their best wishes. And we've seen some super camp drafting. Jim, great scores, and it's just been amazing.
So our judges have given the competitor number one, Glenn Peterson, the nod. So we're ready for action. Final round of the World Championship Camp Draft here at the Sydney Royal Easter Show 2016. Who will it be, the champion for 2016?
So, Jim, what's the score? How does it all work, camp drafting?
Okay, well, in the cattle camp where the cattle are at the moment, Angus, is what we call the cattle camp, and that's out of a possible score of 26 points. You get 2 points for the first peg, 1 for the second peg, and 1 for the gate, which is the 2 pegs close together. Tonight is a left-hand course, and the horse work is the control of the run, the speed of the run. That's out of a possible score of 70 points. So you put the 26, the 70, and the 4 together. That's out of a possible score of 100 points. And it's Glenn Peterson now with Cheetah, and around the first peg they come. And he's got a wonderful, nice running Hereford steer again, and Cheetah's just trying to make everything count. This is the final round. He says, yes, we need another round here. And Glenn Peterson and Cheetah says, we'll just go about there, and now we'll just start to turn around, and he has a little bit of a look, and Cheetah says, I think it's nearly time to go, Glenn. He says, just a little bit further up. There's great camp drafting here, and Cheetah and Glenn Peterson, oh, can he get around there? It's looking pretty good. Oh, look at Cheetah right up on the beast shoulder. Oh, and there's 3 out of 4 for the course, and we'll leave it in the hands of our camp draft judges, Nigel Rippon and Stephen Wells.
Well, while Jim's getting the score, our next competitor into the camp will be Neil Faint, known as Fainty. He's also a horse trainer, and also he has Texas Star Quarter Horses. The overall second in 2015 World Championship Camp Draft of the Sydney Royal Easter Show. He's riding Turner Stud Flirt. It's signed by Turner Stud Bobby out of the dam Oakvale Park theme. It's a lovely grey mare foaled in 2001. And Flirt is a very easy care mare to ride. So it's back down to Jim.
Okay, now a score for Glenn Peterson, Kalenia Cheetah was 21 for cutout, 58 for horsework, 3 out of 4 for the cause, a total of 82 points. 82 points for Cheetah, ridden by Glenn Peterson. Now Neil Faint with Flirt, and around the first peg they come. Then the great little grey is around with the Hereford steer. She changes over. Oh, going to tighten things. Oh, it just didn't run on like he anticipated. And he got that second chance at that second peg, and Neil Faint and Flirt, and just comes around, and there goes the judge's stock whips. So unfortunately only a cutout score there for Turner Stud Flirt, ridden by Neil Faint.
Well, third into the camp tonight is going to be Alan Young. Alan, he's a horse trainer, farrier and a dentist, competing for 40 years. He's riding Acres Liberty Bow, known as Bozo, signed by Acres Destiny out of Jesse's Liberty Bell, a buckskin stallion, foaled in 1998. Dual registered Australian Stock Horse and also the Australian Quarter Horse Association. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, and a cutout score for Neil Faint with Flirt was 22 points. 22 points for Flirt, ridden by Neil Faint. Okay, with Alan Young now from Aberdeen in the Upper Hunter part of New South Wales. This is competitor number 3 in the final round of the World Championship Camp Draft with Acres Liberty Bow. And Alan's about to make his selection. So we'll just wait now for our judges to give him the nod. We'll get the other beasts put away through our cattle stewards, Peter and David Kelly, and done a great job over the nights of the camp drafting, and great pickup men for the rodeo. So well done there to Peter and David Kelly. The gate is open and the Hereford steer says, yes, I'll go out and have some hay and a drink and get ready to go back home. So there goes the steer. He does the exit from the Spotless Stadium. We move on to number 3, Alan Young with Acres Liberty Bow.
And Jimmy, just for all the city people here tonight too, watching, when they come up to the face of the camp, so what do they really have to do? What do they have to achieve?
Well, they're trying to do as many turns as they can and showing the judge that their horse has got the ability to keep that beast away from the other cattle and get as many points as they possibly can out of a possible score of 26 points. So Alan Young, he calls for the gate and he steps out in now to the Spotless Stadium with Acres Liberty Bow, and he's got himself a very fast one and he's going to go drift right away. The steer says, I know where home is, and they'll get straight over there to the exit gate, and there'll be a cutout score there only for Acres Liberty Bow, ridden by Alan Young.
Well, just while he's getting that cutout score, our next will be the number 4 in the camp tonight. We welcome Troy Palmer, a horse trainer, a contract master, competed in camp drafting for 34 years, and he's going to be riding this magnificent horse, Binia Impressive Destiny, that's taken him to the top of camp drafting throughout Australia. And it's back down to Jim.
Okay, and a cutout score there for Alan Young with Acres Liberty Bow was 18 points. 18 points for Acres Liberty Bow, ridden by Alan Young. Troy Palmer now with Binia Impressive Destiny, and comes right up the face of the camp. Now this is where we're talking about trying to get the big points out of a possible 26 points, and he calls for the gate. And out into the Spotless Stadium we go, the final round of the World Championship Camp Draft, and Binia Impressive Destiny and Troy Palmer, and around the first peg, and he's got a wonderful running Hereford steer. And Binia Impressive Destiny will just sit back a little tiny bit. We'll just turn him around here, and he goes up there, says, we'll just sit back a bit. He says, Troy, leave the footwork to me. You just look after the pegs and press the right buttons, and around the second peg, it speeds up a little bit here now. Boys and girls, mums and dads, Camp Binia Impressive Destiny and Troy Palmer, they line things up. It's looking good. It's looking very, very good. Champagne Camp Drafting, Binia Impressive Destiny and Troy Palmer.
Oh, what a great run. Well, we introduce now is Al Sullivan, number 5, and he's been competing in camp drafting since he was 8 years of age. He's riding Voodoo. Voodoo is signed by Acres Destiny of the Dam Monkey Creek Fable, a lovely black stallion, foaled in 2002, and the previous winner of the R.M. Williams saddle down here at the Sydney Royal Easter Show as well. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, now a score coming through now for Troy Palmer with Binia Impressive Destiny was 22 for cutout, 62.5 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 88.5 points. 88.5 points for Binia Impressive Destiny, ridden by Troy Palmer. Okay, now we go with Al Sullivan with Voodoo from Manila in the northern part of New South Wales. And Voodoo, he's about to go in. He says, yes, come on, Al. He said, let's go. And right up the face of the camp. And they're going to look for the big score as well. And goes across. He blocks him there on the fence and goes back. Now the horse sits right down on his hindquarters and out into the spotless arena. And look at the pace of Voodoo and Al Sutherland around the first peg. And that's Campdrafting right up on the beach shoulder here now. And Voodoo and Al Sutherland around the first peg. He comes back. He gets 2 points for the first peg. They do the changeover. It's looking very good for the second. Oh, look at this Campdrafting here. Voodoo and the wonderful Hereford Steer. They get another one. They got 3 out of 4 for the course. Girls and boys, mums and dads, let's get those hands warm. Can they do it? Can they do it? It's looking very, very good. It's a magnificent run. Voodoo and Al Sutherland.
They're on fire now as we welcome Hugh Miles into the camp now. And he has won numerous awards right throughout Australia. He's going to be riding Peel Vale Wishes, and Peel Vale Wishes is signed by conductor of the Dam Oaks Future, a lovely chestnut mare. It foaled back in 2006, so it's back down to Jim.
And a score coming through now for Al Sutherland and Voodoo was 19.5 for cutout, 63.5 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 87 points. 87 points for Voodoo, ridden by Al Sutherland. Well, as we move on there now to Hugh Miles with Wishes. And Hugh Miles just about to make his selection. Well, some great rounds again in the final round of the World Championship Camp Draft. And Hugh Miles, he makes his selection. He just gets up a little bit quicker and turns those other cattle back. Hugh Miles and Wishes comes right up the face of the camp, does 3, does 4. Does 5, does 6, going for the big points. He calls for the gate. He blocks the beast up hard, comes across this side as well. And he just gave him the slip down the side of the cattle camp. 19. Okay, now he steps out now into the Spotless Stadium, and the beast is going to come in under the first peg, and this being the final round. And Hugh Miles knows, he says, well, we'll just pull up there and we'll let that beast go on out.
Well, we welcome into the camp now. Our 7th competitor tonight is Ben McNaughton. He's a station hand at St Albans, the winner of the Landmark Classic in 2013. He's riding the Ranch Tiptoe, signed by Night Stop That out of the dam, the Ranch Snickers, a Bay Gulling, and a foaled in 2009. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, we have a cutout score there now for Hugh Miles with Wishes of 18.5 points. 18.5 points for Wishes, ridden by Hugh Miles. Well, we go to the New England part of New South Wales, Ben McNaughton with the Ranch Tiptoes. And he's about to make his way to go in now to make his selection. So Ben McNaughton, he says, that's the one we want, and he just quietly goes in, lets the other cattle peel off, and he gets the one that he wants on its own. So Ben McNaughton with the Ranch Tiptoes, he calls for the gate. Does another hard block there, and out into the Spotless Stadium they come, and Lure tries to load up the first peg, and there's going to be a nice first peg. He's halfway around at the moment, and look at Tiptoes. He's right on his tiptoes, right up around the first peg. Just sits back there now, and Ben McNaughton just sits back and has a little bit of a look there for an anticipation, and does the crossover. 2 out of 4 for the course. Comes around the second peg. He's halfway around. Can he line it up? The beast has a look at the peg and drifts around there. He got 3 out of 4 now. Now, come on, boys and girls, mums and dads, it's Campdraft, and he gives you a bit of a bump. Ben McNaughton and Tiptoes, and he tiptoes through the gate, and that's another magnificent run there. Ben McNaughton from Walker, New South Wales with Tiptoes.
Well, number 8 going into the camp now is the winner of the Melbourne Cup of Camp Drafting at Warwick last year, and his name is Ben Tapp. He won it also in 2012. He's riding Cool Dust, and Cool Dust is signed by Warren Bry Romeo out of the dam Oaks Stardust. A bay mare foaled in 2010 and is back down to Jim.
Now, score for Ben McNaughton with the Ranch's Tiptoes was 22.5 for cutout, 62.5 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 89 points. 89 points for Tiptoes, ridden by Ben McNaughton. Okay, now we go with Ben Tapp with Cool Dust. And Cool Duster's got a tricky one and puts in a tricky turn there and just runs on down the side of the fence and out now in the Spotless Stadium. Ben Tapp with Cool Dust from Warwick in Queensland. Around the first peg they come, and Cool Dust gets right up on the shoulder there now, just sits back now a little, and they get 2 points for the first peg. They do the changeover, and Cool Dust and Ben Tapp, and they do the change, and just a little bit greasy just there, and Ben Tapp and Cool Dust are just trying to line things up around the second peg, and does so too as the Hereford Steer has just a little bit of a look at the green peg. And Cool Dust says, now just leave the footwork to me, we'll just go up here, we'll stop, we'll go there. And he says, well, no time's running out, and that was Ben Tapp from Warwick in Queensland.
So come on, put your hands together. There's the Warwick Gold Cup winner of last year. Give him a big round of applause. Come on, Sydney. As we welcome into the camp now, our next competitor is Warwick Lawrence. He's a horse course teacher at Tokel College. Warwick is riding limited edition, known as Libby, stable name, signed by Kerala Catalina out of the Dam Oaks Finesse, Chestnut Mare foaled in 2006. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, and a cutout score there for Cool Dust with Ben Tapp was 17.5 points. 17.5 points for Cool Dust, ridden by Ben Tapp. So Warwick Lawrence now with limited edition. And we just got an extra beast that's just made his way into the cattle camp.
Well, just while they're checking that out, James, if you wanted to have a nice, refreshing drink tonight, you know, what would you drink?
Oh, well, as the sun goes down, Angus, I look for that label with the big capital T.
Mm-hmm. So what's that?
For Tyrrell's.
Tyrrell's wine.
Exactly.
Right. And also, Jim, a very warm welcome again tonight to our very special guests that have supplied the cattle here for the World Championship Campdraft and the men from Snowy River as well.
That's right, Angus. Once again, many thanks to Elliston Pastoral Company, to Rob Teague, the manager, Scott Mitchell and the team from Elliston, and also the Packer family, not only for this year, but been lending the cattle for the World Championship Campdraft here now for quite a number of years. So once again, many thanks to the Packer family and everybody involved for a magnificent line of cattle.
And also, Jim, people sitting around this magnificent Spotless Stadium, all the scores are up there for you to look at tonight on the big scoreboard as well and the big screen. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, as Warwick Lawrence now with limited edition, he's about to make his selection. The judges give him the nod. So it's time for Warwick and limited edition to go to work to see what they can do here in the final round. And Warwick has his eye on one, and he's about to make his selection. And that's the stockman. He says, I'll just let one of them drift away. So you just got to get the other two to drift off. And he calls for the gate. And out into the Spotless Stadium they come, limited edition, and Warwick Lawrence. And around the first peg they come. And he says, I just got a good fast running one as well. He says, I just sit back here. They get 2 points for the first peg. They do the changeover now. And limited edition says, we're going to tighten things up here, Warwick. And around the second peg, and they tighten it right up. And just comes around there now. And the Hereford Steer heads over there towards the gate. Boys and girls, mums and dad can. Limited edition and Warwick Lawrence get over there and put this steer between the pegs. It's looking very good. It is very, very good. That is Warwick Lawrence with limited edition.
Well, Jim, we'd also like to welcome tonight a very special guest that's sitting up with Jill McIntyre and Councillor Duncan McIntyre, and that's the Land Show Girl for 2016. Welcome to Grace Eccleston from Grenfell. We're representing the Grenfell Show Society. Congratulations, Grace, on winning the big award. As we welcome into the camp now, Tim Hollis, our next competitor. And Tim Hollis is a New South Wales Operations Manager at Livestock Link. He's riding a horse called Adios Venus. It's signed by Glen Ross Desiree out of the Dam Reveille Miss, a lovely black mare foaled in 2001. Back down to Jim.
Okay, and now a score for limited edition ridden by Warwick Lawrence was 15.5 for cutout, 62 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 81.5. 81.5 points for limited edition ridden by Warwick Lawrence. So number 10 now. Tim Hollis with Adios Venus. He's about to make his selection, and he does so now. Gets it away nice and clean. And straight up to the face of the camp, and it looks like he's not going to be messing about. He says, we're going for the big points here this evening. 3 or 4 turns and calls for the gate and straight out into the spotless stadium. Tim Hollis with Adios Venus, and they're going to try to look at this around the first peg, and Venus now just comes around there now, just sits back, does the changeover. 2 out of 4 for the course, and they just try to line the second peg up. He zigzags a little, zigzags there, and just turns and tries to get away over there towards the Sinclair stand, but Adios Venus says, no, we'll just sit back here, we'll just do a little bit of a zigzag around the back here, and the Polar steer comes back around here now, around the second peg, and Adios Venus and Tim Hollis, can they get there in time? Can they get there in time? And it's going to look pretty good, and we'll leave that one in the hands of our Campdraft judges, Nigel Rippon and Stephen Wells.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'd also like to welcome the President of the Royal Agricultural Society of New South Wales, Mr. Robert Ryan, OAM, up in the grandstand there watching Campdraft tonight. Welcome to you, sir. As we welcome into the camp now, number 11 is Matt Holtz. Matt Holtz, he's a horse trainer, and he's riding this magnificent exhibit. This is Nevlin Archer. It's affectionately known as Fat Boy, and signed by Neville and Joseph from the dam Marchdale Quiver, a lovely bay gelding, foaled in 1997, and also the son of the chairman of the Australian Stock Horse Society for many years, Mr. Neville Holtz. And Lynn, welcome to you tonight as well. Back down to Jim.
So a score coming through now for Tim Hollis with Adios Venus was 21.5 for cutout, 57 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 82.5 points. 82.5 points for Tim Hollis and Adios Venus. Well, Matt Holtz now from Gippsland in southeast Victoria, and Archer. Is they about to make their selection? And he does so too. And a wonderful looking Polar Hereford steer right up the face of the camp. And he calls for the gate, and he's ready to step out into action. He's on centre stage in the spotless stadium. And look at Archie. He says, we'll put the ears back, and says, come on, Matt, I think we've got him all wrapped up now. A real old camp drafting right up on the beast's shoulder. And Matthew Holtz and Archer. Oh, and he says, can I wheel him around there? But he said, oh, he's just a little bit fast, and gets away there on the top side of the first peg. So that is Matthew Holtz with Archer, and unfortunately a cutout score there only.
Well, tonight, watching the Campdraft 2 up in the council stand, I think is the first runner-up in the land show girl, Emily Madge. Emily, welcome tonight. Emily's representing Young. We welcome into the camp now. Our next competitor, number 12, is Wade Miles. Wade is a trainee stock and station agent for Landmark at Scone. He was 4th in the championship here last year. He's riding Greenvale Request. It's signed by Adios Reflect out of the dam Breezer Miss, a black mare, foaled in 2003. Back down to Jim.
Okay, and a cutout score there for Matthew Holtz and Archer, a cutout score of 22 points. 22 points for Archer, ridden by Matthew Holtz. So Wade Miles now from Scone in the Hunter Valley of New South Wales with the brown black bally mare, Request. And he's just letting the other cattle drift off there now. He says, this is the one I want, and yes, gets him away nice and clean. So the brown bally mare and Wade Miles comes up the face of the camp. They're trying to get as many points as they can out of a possible score of 26. Steps out now into the spotless stadium. Now he says, we've just got to keep things nice and smooth here. Now they're going to go hard and fast around the first peg, and Request moves right up there. He said, we'll just sit back a little bit now, Wade. They come around now. Can they get over, do the crossover? They've got 2 points for the first peg. They do the changeover now. They're looking to get another point for the second. Oh, look how close this is going to... Wow. How about a big round of applause for him, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? That was going to be a ripping peg, and it just come undone, which happens in all sorts of sports.
Well,
and a cutout score there of 22 points for Request and Wade Miles. 22 points for Request, ridden by Wade Miles.
Thanks, Jim. And whatever the guys can do in camp drafting, the girls can do just as well. We welcome Simone Harvey, one of the most coveted winners of the awards for the ABCRA in the history of Australian camp drafting. She's riding Peel Vale Jane, side by conductor out of the dam Oaks Alley, a lovely brown mare, an Australian stock horse, the breed for every need, and it's back down to Jim.
Okay, so our judges have just given Simone the nod, yes, and what you just said, Angus, she's a magnificent lady competitor and she mixes it with the very best and won so many of the champion Lady Campdraft riding titles as she makes her selection now with Peelvale Jane and right up the face of the camp. So let's get behind Simone, the only Lady Campdraft rider here this year, and she comes out into the spotless stadium and around the first peg they come. Simone Harvey with Jane, and she's got themselves a fast one, but Jane says we've got her all under control. We'll just get out here. Now we'll turn that beast back up there to try and get the 2 points for the first peg. They do the changeover. Simone Harvey and Peelvale Jane, she just lets the steer run on a little bit now. She gets up a little bit close. She says, I'll just sit back here, Jane, until we just get around this second peg. And she comes out around there now, and Peelvale Jane and Simone Harvey. Now, girls and boys, mums and dads, let's try and get behind Simone. And I think it's going to look pretty good. Let's get ride with her through the gate. Simone Harvey and Jane. It's a magnificent run. Give her a big round of applause. Simone Harvey with Peelvale Jane.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, number 14, he's a legend. Nigel Cable, he's a cattleman. Started drafting at 7. He's won 205 drafts. And the horse he's riding, Chevron Ivory, is signed by Lindsay out of the Dams, Chevron Ebony, a black stallion, foaled in 1997. And it's won $270,000 in his lifetime, 79 open drafts. So we wish him well, Nigel Cable, and it's back down to Jim.
Okay, now a score for Simone Harvey with Peelvale Jane was 22 for cutout, 61 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 87 points. 87 points for Peelvale Jane, ridden by Simone Harvey. So Nigel Cable with Chevron Ivory, they make their selection. And the well-known combination here. They'll probably write a book about Chevron Ivory and Nigel Cable in years to come as he comes right up the face of the camp and he goes back there and blocks him again, but he just says, I want to go back down here to my friends. And Chevron Ivory, Nigel Cable, they step out into the spotless stadium and he's got himself a very fast all-pole Hereford steer and he goes across the ring there now and he blocks him up just his side of the gate. And he says, I'll just give him a wheel down here. Look at Chevron Ivory camp drafting here right up on the beast's shoulder. He says, I'll go around and keep going around. Now, Chevron Ivory says, we'll just sit back here a little tiny bit. They get 2 points for the first peg. They do the changeover. And he says, when do you want to go? Nigel says, just give me the, just buttons and around the second peg, and it's going to be very tight as well. And look at Chevron Ivory, says now we'll just wait our time, we'll take a little shortcut across here. Nigel Cable, Chevron Ivory, it's looking very, very good. It looks very, very good.
What a great run. And ladies and gentlemen, our final competitor tonight, Mark Palmer. And Mark Palmer, he is a horse trainer to win in fact, in the past, the World Championship draft as well, or third in the draft, I should say, last year. My apologies. Palmer's
of the World Championship Camp Draft, Mark Palmer with the great Australian stock horse stallion El Condo.
So how about everyone right around this arena tonight in the magnificent Spotless Stadium? Jim's getting that last score. Put your hands together for the magnificent camp drafting, the World Championship Camp Draft. Come on, you salute them tonight. I know Katie Day's down there watching it all, so you clap and cheer too.
Okay, we have a score now for Mark Palmer with El Condo was 21 for cutout, 60.5 for horsework, 3 out of 4 for the course, a total of 84.5 points. 84.5 points for El Condo, ridden by Mark Palmer.
Well, James, unbelievable the camp drafting here at the show, that the Sydney Royal Easter Show. So no wonder they call it the greatest show on earth. Just the best of the best. So, ladies and gentlemen, a very special thank you to Tyrrell's Wines for their wonderful support. And tonight, joining Jim, I know, will be the Land Showgall, the winner of the Land Showgall, and I think the first runner-up, but Jim will find that out very soon, plus all the other wonderful people that will be here tonight as well. And Jim, very soon, we have this very special man and his dogs. who are going to be taking the cattle out again, aren't they?
That's right, Angus. Murray Wilkinson, and he's got magnificent dogs, and he's a stockman there with Elliston Pastoral, and magnificent dogs and a great stockman with it. And that's why we've seen some champagne camp drafting here at the Sydney Royal Easter Show 2016. And once again, many, many thanks from the RAS to the Elliston Pastoral Company, to Rob Teague, manager, and Scott Mitchell and the team, and the Packer family, who have been so kind to the RAS with the loan of the cattle for the World Championship Camp Draft.
And also, Jim, we'd like to say thank you to our green coat Malus George for the great job they do as well. Well, girls and boys, we'll just get the boys in the camera. If we go across to those dogs at the entrance of the arena there while they're collating the scores, and have a look at the dogs over there. 3 beautiful dogs with over there with our wonderful horseman Murray Wilkinson. There you are. And Murray Wilkinson, he's riding his lovely horse called Megcat, a 4-year-old stallion. The dogs are Zach, Boo, and Hunter. And there's, I think that might be Boo, but those dogs are such a highlight in the Man from Snow River tonight as well. So, you know, he's a wonderful Australian, and we love our nation, we love our country, and he's coming across now to take those Hereford steers out of the camp, and he'll be taking them across and outside this magnificent spotless stadium. As he does, can I just ask you all, come on Australia, put your hands together for a great Australian, and that is Murray Wilkinson. Come on, let's hear it from Murray, Megcat, and his dogs, Zach, Boo, and Hunter. And it's down to Jim.
Okay, thank you, Angus. Well, I've got one of the Camp Draft judges here with me now, Nigel Rippon from Casino, New South Wales. First time I've been asked to come to the Royal Easter Show, and it's been a great honour, Nigel.
There's no doubt about that, Jim. Just sitting here in this main arena, and every night I sit and look around, just see what a great stadium this is. You can't get any better than this.
Gives you a little bit of an adrenaline rush, Nigel?
Yeah, I thought I was nervous there this afternoon I rode in, but it was just excitement. It's great, fantastic.
Nigel, the camp draft, the runs we've seen over 6 rounds, been champagne camp drafting sort of as good as you see anywhere?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. The cattle have been outstanding. To the owners of the cattle and the guys that look after them, it's an absolute credit to them. These competitors here are some of the best in Australia, some of the best horses in Australia, and I take my hat off to them. They deserve to be here.
Thank you, Nigel, and thank you for being one of our Camp Draft judges, and I hope you've certainly enjoyed your stay at the 2016 Royal Easter Show.
It's been absolutely magnificent, and to the RAS here at the Royal Easter Show, thank you very much for inviting me. Thanks, Jimmy.
Okay, thank you, Nigel. So that's one of our Camp Draft judges there, Angus, and been a great honour for him to come down here and be a judge for 2016.
Thanks very much, James, and thanks to Jim. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please put your hands together for Jim Callan. Give Jim a big round of applause. He's done an amazing job introducing camp drafting every night. He's a lovely guy. It's just a pleasure to work with him each year, and we've had a wonderful friendship going back many years now, and it's always a joy to work with him. Well, there's some very special awards we've presented tonight as well, and that is the T.B. McFarlane Perpetual Trophy, and it was donated by the late Mr. T.B. McFarlane and first presented in 1969, awarded for the highest score in any section conducted throughout the World Championship Camp Draft competition. Thomas Bryden McFarlane, RAS Councillor in 1934 to 1948, RAS Vice President 1948 to 1968, and the RAS Honorary Vice President from 1968 to 1970. It was won last year by a very successful camp drafter by the name of Nigel Cable and Chevron Ivy. Mark Palmer the year before with Al Condo. You saw them tonight. The year before that, Troy Palmer, been the Impressive Destiny. Before that was Warwick Lawrence, Cedar Downs Minimax. Troy Palmer before that, so the list goes on. There's also the very special award, the Tyrrell's Vineyard Award as well, donated in 1986 by the Prudential Pastoral Company and later named the Tyrrell's Vineyard Perpetual Trophy. It's awarded for the highest aggregate cutout score throughout the World Championship Camp Draft. We also have the presentation of His Royal Highness the Duke of Gloucester Cup, the Perpetual Trophy, and it was donated by His Royal Highness the Duke of Gloucester, the Governor General in 1945 to 47, first presented in 1947 in recognition of the particularly fine type of man encountered as well. So they're all down there ready for it. So we'll cross back down now to Jim Cullen. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Angus. And the winner of the final round is Ben McNaughton with a score of 89 points. Ben McNaughton with Tiptoes, the winner of the round. Second place goes to Troy Palmer with Benny Impressive Destiny on 88.5 points.
Equal third.
Equal third and fourth, Al Sutherland with Voodoo. And Simone Harvey with Peelvale Jane, both on 87. So they are the winner and place getters of the final round.
Well, just ask Trevor to bring up a short fanfare there for you.
And to do the presentation of the final round, Councillor Mr. Rob Vickery to Ben McNaughton. Second place to Troy Palmer. Third place to Al Sutherland, and equal third was Al Sutherland and Simone Harvey. Well, Ben McNaughton, you just keep going away and away with the same run after runs and so forth, but you certainly put the icing on the cake in the final round of the World Championship Campdraft, Ben.
Yeah, no, it was good to finally get a few points on the board, and yeah, no, it's been a great show.
You just got to have a little bit of luck on your side and so forth, and just a little bit of luck in the earlier rounds just wasn't on your side, but been a magnificent lot of cattle for the camp drafting for 2016, Ben.
Yeah, no, camp drafting's all about luck, and been a great line of cattle, and yeah, no, it's been great.
Okay, thank you, Ben, and all the very best.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So that's the winner of the final round of the World Championship Camp Draft.
And it's nice to welcome Councillor Rob Vickery down there for the presentation tonight, and thanks to the Vickery family from Bector Station for the annual trophy as well. Back down to Jim.
Equal sixth place.
Okay, now we're going with the overalls, and we're going from equal sixth up to first, and equal sixth place
Hugh Miles
goes to Hugh Miles
and Mark Palmer.
and Mark Palmer. So Mark Palmer on El Condo and Hugh Miles on Wishes, equal sixth. And doing the presentation, Angus, Mr. Bruce Tyrrell from Tyrrell's Wines, that you know a little bit about. So that wonderful drink when we go for dinner tonight, we'll have the drink with a capital T at Tyrrell's Wines. So many thanks to Mr. Bruce Tyrrell.
Yes, Jim, and Tyrrell's Wine's a lovely drop, and we both enjoy it, don't we?
We certainly do, Angus. Now moving on to fifth place goes to Al Sutherland with Voodoo, fifth place overall in the World Championship Camp Draft. Voodoo, ridden by Al Sutherland. Okay, fourth place goes to Ben McNaughton. Ben McNaughton with the Ranch Tiptoes in fourth place.
Okay, we're getting up to third now.
Third place goes to Wade Miles with Request. Third place, Wade Miles with Request. Second place goes to Glenn Peterson with Kalenia Cheetah. Second place to Glenn Peterson riding Kalenia Cheetah. And the winner of the World Championship Camp Draft, sponsored by Tyrrell's, goes to Chevron Ivory, ridden by Nigel Cable. Chevron Ivory, ridden by Nigel Cable, the winner of the World Championship Camp Draft for 2016. And Mr. Bruce Tyrrell putting the red, white and blue ribbon. So another one of those magnificent ribbons goes to Chevron Ivory.
And Jimmy Cullen, that's back-to-back for him, and congratulations to him. So put your hands together. Come on, Australia. Give him a big round of applause. That's back-to-back 2015, 2016. Thanks, Jim. Down to you.
Now, His Royal Highness, the Duke of Gloucester Perpetual Cup, and being presented by the General Manager of Elliston Pastoral Company, Mr. Rob Teague. And great to see Rob here this evening for the final round of the World Championship Camp Draft.
Where's the buckle? Peter?
And now also the Bective Station Annual Trophy to be presented by
Jim, it's a great pleasure tonight to have with us too, ladies and gentlemen, the Land Showgirl for 2016, representing also the Grenfell Show Society. And we'd love you to put your hands together and give Grace Eppleton a nice warm welcome. Come on to the Spotless Stadium tonight. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Angus. Now the TB McFarlane Perpetual Trophy for the highest score in any session of the World Championship Camp Draft. And it goes to Hugh Miles with Wishes, the highest score in any session of the World Championship Camp Draft of 92.5 points. To Hugh Miles and Wishes. And Grace Eccleston, the Land Royal Easter Showgirl, to do the presentation. To Hugh Miles. And also the Bective Station Annual Trophy.
And Jim, just looking back at the Bective Station Trophy, the World Championship Camp Draft, because last year was won by the wonderful Nigel Cable, Chevron Ivy, and 2014 it was won by Mark Palmer and Al Condor. So back down to Jim.
So I've just done the presentation now there with Councillor Mr. Rob Vickery. Now we move on to the Tyrrell's Vineyards, a Perpetual Trophy for the highest aggregate cutout score. And it goes to Chevron Ivory, ridden by Nigel Cable, on 131.5 points. The Tyrrell's Vineyard Perpetual Trophy and the Bective Station Annual Trophy for the highest aggregate cutout score over the 6 rounds of the World Championship Camp Draft. And it's Chevron Ivory, ridden by Nigel Cable, on 131.5 points.
Well, Jim, this very special award was presented, the Tyrrell's Vineyard Perpetual Trophy, in 1986 by the Prudential Pastoral Company, and the later named the Tyrrell's Vineyard Perpetual Trophy. And it was won by Tom Williamson in 96, Terry Hall 97, Bruce McNaughton 98, who's down there tonight. And the list goes on. Bobby Palmer and last year Nigel Cable and Chevron Ivy. So that's back down to Jim. And also, Jim, he won it in 2012, by the way, too. 2012 and 2015 and 2016. So, folks, that's a hat trick. Come on, put your hands together. Give him a big round of applause. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Angus. Well, I'm just here with the winner now. It won't be too long, Nigel. You and I are going to be on first name basis meeting like this. But all I can say is congratulations, and no doubt you'd like to say a few words.
Yeah, thanks, Jimmy. I'd just like to thank the Show Society for putting the draft on and inviting us all down here. The cattle donors, Elliston Pastoral Company, for supplying great cattle for the competition for the week, and Tyrrell's the sponsors for the draft. Thanks very much.
Nigel, what are you doing next weekend? What would you and Trevor and Ivory be doing next weekend?
He'll be resting, Jimmy, and I'll be watching the boys play football.
Good to see you. Anyhow, enjoy the rest of the show. All the very best, and there's no doubt you're both champions.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Okay, Angus, thank you very much. That wraps up the World Championship Camp Draft. Many thanks to Tyrrell's Wines, also to Elliston Pastoral. Great to see Rob Teague here, the General Manager. Also to Scott Mitchell and the team up there at Elliston, and to the Packer family, being absolutely champagne camp drafting.
Well, thank you very much to you too, Jim, to Jimmy Cullinan. Thank you very much to all the stewards that officiated here at the show. Thank you, as Jim said, to the wonderful donors of those magnificent cattle. And it's just been, well, some of the best that I've ever had the pleasure of seeing at the Sydney Royal Easter Show in the Spotless Stadium. Camp drafting all began in Australia as well. It's Australia's own sport. Began out in the station years and years and years ago. And at ESC last year, they celebrated the centenary of camp drafting. I believe they did that also at Tenterfield last year, the year before, where it all began. So, ladies and gentlemen, they are sensational. And I'd love you to put your hands together one more time. Come on, Australia. Come on, New South Wales. Come on, Sydney. All our guests from overseas that are here, welcome to you. Put your hands together as well. And don't forget all those cattle you'll see in the magnificent Man from Snowy River tonight as well.